Greetings, class of 2020. I'm Marquis Scott, your class historian, and today I'm going to be saying the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Greetings, Superintendent Williams, Community Superintendent Dr. Jones, Principal Joseph, administrators, faculty and staff, family and friends, and the class of 2020. It is my pleasure to stand before you on this graduation day to bring you greetings. Many of you probably don't know who I am, or if you do, of course you know me as Ms. Crawford's daughter. But my name is Jalecia Crawford, and I am honored to be your class salutatorian, and more importantly, a member of the amazing graduating class of 2020. When I learned that I had to write a speech, it dawned on me that, oh no, my years as a senior are finally coming to an end. At that moment, I began to recall every fun, crazy, and of course, educational moment I had experienced here at Milford Mill, or the Mill as we call it. I began to wonder, what could I say that could recapture all of these memorable moments? And what would be the resonating moment that would top it off? And then it came to me, pandemic. Never in our years would we have imagined that that would trump everything and redirect us. These past 13 and a half weeks of the COVID-19 pandemic has completely ripped up the fabric of our education and foundation, leaving us wondering, where do we go from here? Despite such, I, like many of us, can clearly recall us walking through Milford's door freshman year, feeling as if the weight of the world was on our shoulders. And now, here we are, arrived at our senior year, prepared to face the world, even during this horrible pandemic. This is the time that we must prove that we are strong, impenetrable, resilient, and that nothing, no one, and no pandemic can stand between us and our intended destiny. Our destiny to be the best versions of ourselves that even we could not fathom. After 4 long years of homework overloads, writing essays, calculating imperfections of the unit circle, figuring formulas for the periodic table, pulling all-nighters, definitely drinking large cups of Dunkin' Donuts coffee, culottes, and frappuccinos, hardly getting any sleep, and barely making it on time the next day, just to be marked tardy anyway. But I would have to say that every moment was definitely well worth the struggle. Over the past 4 years, and even in the past few months, sadly, many of us have experienced traumatic losses of close family members, friends, and even relationships. But we are still able to stand here today, despite our pain and turmoil, to claim victory over our destiny. This moment reminds me of a quote by Maya Angelou in her poem, Still I Rise. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. We rise, class of 2020. Our time here at Milford Mill, whether it was a lasting impression of a teacher or a connection with a peer, has shaped us into the individuals that will make our school, our parents, our families, and even our ancestors proud. We were transformed in some way by the program, the club, the extracurricular activity in which we all participated, or simply just the friends and associates we formed. I'm sure that many of us were laden with the repetitive warnings of our teachers, administrators, that special well-wisher in our lives, and especially our parents, because I know mine did, to study, 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 constantly pushing us to do better and be better. But we stand here today, apart but together, on our final day as students of Milford Mill Academy's graduating class of 2020, saying, we come with this thing, it's a class of 2020 thing. So I leave you with these final words of encouragement from our forever First Lady, Michelle Obama. Don't be afraid. Be focused, be determined, be hopeful, and be empowered. Empower yourselves with a good education. Then get out there and use that education to build a country worthy of your boundless promise. Class of 2020, we rise. And now, please welcome our Class of 2020 valedictorian, Caroline Neumann.
Graduates of Milford Mill Class of 2020, in case you didn't know, we are in the presence of chaos, yet still strive towards achievement. Tragedy, but still attain greatness. And although we stare at these uncertain and daunting times in his eyes, our brilliance radiates incandescently. Our classes endured the torturous lectures of learning the acronym SOHCAHTOA to find heaven knows what in math, the puzzling ideas of nouns being male or female in Spanish or French, and the forever ingrained knowledge that the mitochondria is indeed the powerhouse of the cell. We managed to survive head-throbbing lessons, maneuver through the catty drama, and wipe away the tears that clouded our eyes while we wrote those long essays for English. And might I add, the day before they were due typically. Yet, who would have fathomed that these crucial parts of our senior year would be the last thing on our minds? That our last hurrah, our final sprint of high school, would abruptly end on March 13th. But despite being in the midst of these unforeseeable events, we're here, and we made it. Our victory lies in the fact that we, the class of 2020, has triumphantly overcome the obstacles since birth. We were born during the aftermath of when the society was in shambles, grew up as the world rapidly evolved economically, socially, and culturally. And now here we are, graduating through a pandemic in a virtual technological world. If that doesn't show resolve and resilience, I don't know what does. But we don't always have to look at the big victories to find triumph. Each of us have faced our own hardships, our own personal battles. Those smaller battles are just as important. For some it was a relationship, a loss, or a change, but these defining encounters forever morph our mindsets, open our eyes, and motivate us to move forward. We eventually cope with reality, but the scars remaining remind us that we were victorious, and we do have the power to overcome adversity. Sharing my personal story isn't something I typically do. I like to be seen as a girl whose only problem is what her GPA is. But that honestly couldn't be further from the truth. Everyone has what I call a high school crisis. It's that moment where it feels like you're lost in an infinite void, aimlessly and frantically floating around searching for something, anything. And it feels like you're in this void, suffocating, alone, desperately trying to call for help, a sign, a direction. My high school crisis happened during the second semester of junior year. It was that time of year where everyone was battling loads of schoolwork, future class exams, the dreaded SATs, and eventually that big F word, finals. But on top of that, the constant nagging reminders and interrogations about college, your future career, what your whole life was supposed to be, was made as if you were supposed to have everything together, right then and there. And no lie, it was scary. I hated the feeling of being rushed out of my childhood. I hated the feeling or the idea that my test scores, my grades, my ability to remember that the universal gravitational constant is 6.6730 times 10 to the negative 11. My gosh. Were all obstacles designed to determine how successful I would be. But what I hated most was the thought of being left behind. That fear drove me to the point of twisting, bending, contorting myself to please others, to please the teachers, counselors, family members, mentors, even my peers. But that insanity only brought me further into the void. I was lost. I was confused, but I realized the more I overthought, the more I fell into that void. But now's not the time for sadness. Now is not the time for overthinking, because overthinking only creates sadness. Today shall pass. This pandemic will pass. And your own personal void, That black hole that feels like it only consumes more of you? Yeah, you'll eventually find your way out. Then, we can see the infinite space of infinite possibilities to come. So class of 2020, we might be alone, but we are all in this together. We are the newest generation, and we are here to claim our future. Because I know, when I think of Milford Mill class of 2020, I think of the future doctors, engineers, and entrepreneurs. I think of the successful CEOs, writers, and teachers, and the infinite potential to empower this changing world. It is your time that you orchestrate your own plans. You are powerful, and you do have the power to create your own life, the life you deserve. As the American writer Crawford said, although no one can go back and make a brand new start, anyone can start from now and make a brand new ending. Please welcome our principal of Milford Mill Academy, Ms. Joseph.
Congratulations to the class of 2020 Milford Mill Award winners. You represent the best in each field that you have received an award upon. To all of the parents, congratulations on this tremendous achievement for your students. Have a great award ceremony. I am honored to serve as your principal of Milford Mill Academy. Thank you, Superintendent Dr. Williams, Community Superintendent Dr. Jones, and board members for your leadership in navigating BCPS through one of the most challenging school years in our history. To all of our parents and grandparents and family members, thank you for sharing your children with us. Thank you to our amazing staff for your flexibility and commitment to our children. To the class of 2020, I would like to share an important story with you about knowing your value. There was this popular speaker, and he started a seminar by holding up a $20 bill. He said, how many of you would like this $20 bill? And all 200 raised their hand. He said, I'm going to give you this $20, but first let me do this. And he crumbled it. And he said, now how many of you want it? And again, all 200 raised their hand. He said, I'm going to give it to one of you all, but next let me do this. And he took it and he stumped it on the ground. He picked it up and he said, now who still wants it? And all 200 hands were raised. Class of 2020, the important lesson is that your value does not decrease because of what is done to you, just like that crumbled, dirty money. It still held its value. Many times, life and people are going to crumble you. Some situations are going to grind you into the dirt. You may make bad decisions or deal with circumstances just like we're dealing with now. You may even feel hopeless. But no matter what is happening in your life, you will never lose your value. Class of 2020, you are special. Your community loves you. You are a valuable Miller, and don't you ever forget it. Thank you.
To ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, we welcome you to the virtual commencement proceedings of the class of 2020. We now welcome the school counselor of the class of 2020, Miss Whitaker.
Greetings. We are pleased and honored to welcome Superintendent Dr. Darrell L. Williams, Community Superintendent Dr. Raquel Jones, Board of Education member Ms. Makita Scott, Principal Ms. Kyria Joseph, Assistant Principals Mr. Thomas Long, Mr. Michael Austin, Ms. Tryla Shipman, and Ms. Valerie Thomas. Please welcome Superintendent of Baltimore County Public Schools, Dr. Darrell L. Williams.
Graduates, traditionally, the tassel is worn on the right side of the mortarboard until the time in which you have been conferred. The tassel is then moved from the right side of the mortarboard to the left side. Milford Mill Academy class of 2020. Please move your tassels from the right side of your mortarboard to the left side. Congratulations, graduates.
Hail Milford High, thy praises we will sing. Glory and honor we will ever bring. True in our heart to Milford we will be. Our love shall hold us ever close to thee. Dear alma mater, you our youth did guide, and we will ever look on you with pride. In coming years, fond memories will return. Our loyalty will flame and ever burn. Our loyalty will flame and ever burn.